Well, hello everyone. Here you show right here. I'm talking about for Jaycee Dugard right here. I'm talking about for Puppy Love right here, and also if you want to call, it's like talk about for It's Okay, knowing about the basically information about for talking about for the Jace Foundation and based on her book, right? And so you're thinking as toward that ways of how you want to show support for the our pets and for the animals, and then knowing about how you want to think of them as family, right? A lot of times, and at the time, you always want to know too that you want to go ahead and teach your dog and cat maybe a few tricks and all that, but at the time, it sure seems that way that whenever we do think about that and want to know too that whenever it comes to pictures and whenever it does come to show them some source of support, right? And so it's like, I have right here, talk about right here, with this painting right here. I talk about what Jaycee Dugard right here, and I'll go and just show everybody here. This right here is actually the painting right here of this with the puppy right here, and so like it seems like that like everybody else would even say is to where that whenever you're going to be painting any pictures, especially like with me, that I usually paint a lot of pictures of flowers and also maybe if it's anything such as portraits though, but talk about for puppies right here. So like everybody else would say is to where if you go ahead and paint a few pictures of any puppies, and especially if it's going to be maybe like on a greeting card or something like that, that you would see a lot of pets painting like on for especially for the greeting cards. If it's a graduation present or anniversary present or a birthday present or something like that. But talk about right here, talk about for puppy love, right? So it's like I have right here, I'm showing right here this painting right here with the puppy right here. And you can see right here is with the paws right here on the front right here. So it's like, so a lot of times it's like whenever you look at that and you're 102 that you go ahead and paint right there are the paws right there. And so it's like, so it's like whenever you do think about that in 102 that, you go ahead and paint the paws right there, and you're just thinking as toward, okay, so if you're trying to paint this right here of the puppy right here, and then you go ahead and paint right there, this right here is supposed to be like the paws right here, and let's just say that if you were to start out right here, talk about right here with a puppy love right here, but then also that you would include like something that says for it's okay, and so whenever I was following up about the topic for the Jace Foundation, right, and so I was also thinking too that that a way of how you want to cause is toward it, especially if you're going to be maybe in the classroom, or maybe if you're going to be talking maybe over the phone to somebody about something, related to maybe an application or something like that, or something that you're trying to take care of, and maybe let's just say if it is related to about maybe taking care of the animals or something like that, the animal farm and the 102 is toward it, it's okay if you're not sure, and so it's like, so if you want to, that's another reason maybe why I put that in there, is toward that, if you don't know, if you're not sure. So each time you think about that, and you're thinking as toward, okay, so if you're not sure of something for sure, and it's like, so it's like, so it's like every time you do think about that, and you'll want to know too that, you go ahead and type a message like that, and like let's just say if you're going to allow it to, I'm like, like everybody else would say, is toward it, if you're trying to take care of something, and let's just say that maybe if it is maybe after visiting the veterinarian, or maybe if it is maybe like on a greeting card or something like that, and want to know too that, well, it's okay if you're not sure, if you're not sure what the answer to this is, or something like that, or you're not sure, you don't have that information or something, but still, but still, it's like, so each time we do think about that in 102 is to where that, whenever we do think about our pets a lot of times, and like everybody else would say, is to where, whenever we do think about our pets, that you're thinking is to where that you'll go ahead and maybe put a little bit of color into that right there, and do a little bit of painting right here, and like say that if you were to go ahead and paint the little details right there of the puppy right there, and say talk about for gift for puppy love, right? And it's like, yeah, so I have right here painted right there is the tongue right there, and then also with like a little happy face, for happiness right there. So each time I think about this, and I'm thinking too that yeah, when we do think about puppy love a lot of times, is 102 is to where that yeah that whenever we do think about the dogs and cats a lot of times, and 102 is to where that yeah that what exactly is it that maybe some of our pets are even are telling us a lot of times. And let's just say that if you were to actually get a photograph taken of with like yeah, if it's gonna be the president of the book or something like that, yeah, if you're gonna be taking a photo, with one of your pets, and let's just say if it's with a puppy, or maybe it could be maybe with a pet that yeah, pet bird or butterfly or anything like that, and thinking it's toward yeah, a picture of your animals, and thinking it's toward it you go ahead and get a picture, right? And half the time it's like yeah, you have right here for puppy love right here. But half the time you're 102 that half the time do most of our pets and maybe a few of our friends even know half the time what is really going on whenever it comes to understanding about okay yeah, you go ahead and paint a picture right here, but you're just not quite sure what all this other stuff like yeah, so like let's just say if you were to put like a background right there, so like let's just say that everybody might say that part of something artistic, right, will be is to where that you paint a picture of something like that, puppy love with Jaycee Dugard right there, and but then you go ahead and put like a background right there. Maybe a few of the backgrounds would be about as to where that yeah, you put a background and maybe of like maybe a few flowers or something like that. And 102 that yeah, do you think that maybe everybody would really understand what all that means right there? And but I include right here talk about for it's okay, and so which I like say that so like let's just say that if I were to put like a message right here, and it's like so each time we do think about that, and 102 that is toward the yeah to speak up about something, and so really that every time you think about something like that, and you're thinking too that yeah that every time we do yeah, whenever you're going to be reading the book especially, and at 102 that yeah that each time you do think about that, and you're 102 that if we're going to be maybe teaching class to somebody in 102 that is it okay if you don't know something right away, and even if you are not sure, is it okay to go ahead and speak up anyway? Or if anything, that if you notice something, or if you want to maybe point something out to somebody about something. And so a lot of times it's like yeah, so it's like so every time you do you might notice something, and like everybody else would say that if you were working on a painting, or maybe if you were working on any source of collage or something like that, or maybe let's just say if you were working on a story, and you go ahead and start out with to where that yeah it's okay if you're not sure, if you don't know, and so it's like yeah, so a lot of times when we think about that, and you're thinking is to where that part of what you were working on was actually about is to where that yeah, whenever you were reading the book, but then also whenever you go to the websites, and then also whenever you're trying to, I'm like, yeah, doing any sorts of research about for talk about for the Jaycee Foundation, and that is why it sure seems that way. That every time you do talk about stuff like that, and you're thinking as to where to okay, yeah, well, I really don't know, and so it's like yeah, so it sounds like to me just a little bit like yeah, it's okay, and it is okay that if you do. If you're not sure, it's okay if you do wind up making a few mistakes, and it's okay that so it's like yeah, so I know with JC's birthday coming up, I think May the 3rd, and so like everybody else might say that you go ahead and paint a picture right here, talk about for Jaycee Dugard right here, and with the puppy right here, and thinking as to where that if you have right there is like you got the puppy love right there, and then you have right here, you go ahead and paint right there for the paws right there, and with those paws that something like that, yeah, the paws with these cute little puppy paws right here. You go in and put in the details right there and say what exactly is it that our pets are necessarily telling us, and but still, it's like, yeah, everybody else would say that if this right here was an actual photograph for sure, you would maybe think that a lot of these texts and writing and everything would kind of really would all get in the way a lot of times. So it's like, yeah, whenever you do take a photograph, a lot of times that do you think that it make sense to have the date printed like right up here, and or like anybody say is toward it. I'll go ahead and start right here. You have right here, and I can just put on here, yeah, for May, something like that. May 2022, right here. And yeah, everybody else might say that if you were actually were the publisher, or maybe that yeah, for anything, Mike, but still, anything that you were working on that like everybody else might say that if you read the book, but then any books that you do read about, and a 102 that you go ahead and put the date right here, but it's like your 102 that whenever you do take a photograph from your iPhone, or even from any source of device that you're using, for sure that you 102 that you're not sure the dates. I'm like, you're not sure the time and the date from whenever a photograph was taken until you actually look at the details of the photograph. And so that's why it sure seems that way, that every time you do think about that in your 102, that yeah, whenever you have a photograph developed, for sure that you're always 102 that why is it, unless if it's in smaller print, then why is it that you don't see the photographs printed on, usually it's like, yeah, sometimes it's in small prints, but usually it's like on the top right side of the photograph, like right up here. And so everybody else might say that whenever you do take a photograph of something, that you're always warned to where that yeah, why is it that for sure, why is it that maybe that you would maybe have to remember to monitor. I'm like, yeah, any photographs that you're working with, for sure. But tell everybody that yeah, that this right here was actually Photoshop work right here. But if you were to actually be using this, maybe for like just maybe to do a presentation, or maybe like anybody say that if you read Jaycee's book, Talk About For Freedom the First, and you're thinking as toward, okay, yeah, you go ahead and do a painting right here, or talk about for yeah, for the Jaycee Foundation, talk about for It's Okay, and you include this right here, talk about if you do not know, or if you were not sure. And so it sure seems that way, that if we were to actually be doing the studies right here of talking about yeah, even if you're going to be filling out an application or a survey or something like that, and you're always thinking as to where that, yeah, some of that information that's just not yet to be provided just yet. And so that is why it sure seems that way, that do you want to say it's okay for that, and but still that by each time you do think about that, and you're 102, that yeah, that you start these conversations with somebody, and let's just say that yeah, well, really, that if there's really a difference between what you're trying to say and maybe about is toward it, whenever somebody wants to ask the questions, and if anything about is toward it, yeah, well, it's okay if you don't know, or if you're not quite sure, or that yeah, that this right here, this information was last updated on this day, or something like that. And so that is why it seems like that that you start working on something, and it's like, yeah, you start painting something, and somebody's going to ask the questions a lot of times, and it's like, yeah, go ahead and speak up about something. But really though, that every time you do think about that, and you're thinking as to where that, yeah, really, is it really okay really that is toward it. If you do make mistakes, they don't really make you too professional. If you make mistakes off and on, and maybe that if it's a but still that puppy love was something that I want to talk about right here. But for puppy love, and so I painted this picture right here. This right here is supposed to be for Jaycee Dugard right here, and let's just say if it's supposed to be like for a summer, for a spring or summer photograph, or like for like a portrait photograph right here, and like 102 that you got right here is the puppy, right? And so like everybody else might say is to where that you want to go ahead and maybe get a little closer right there, so that we can show everybody here, yeah, you got the puppy right here. You got the puppy right here, and but still but if we were to actually be teaching class a lot of times, and you're 102, that you go ahead and include a message right here as to where that yeah, it's okay if you don't know and if you are not sure, and so if you're going to be teaching class a lot of times, and let's just say that the first of all, it's like if you were to be writing something like that, maybe like on a greeting card, and let's just say that if you're going to be writing, on a greeting card, and let's just say on that greeting card that you were to say that if you're not sure, but you would put that like in hashtags. And like everybody else might say, is toward so it's like if you were to go ahead and maybe put like a hashtag or something like that, include like a hashtag or something like that, and that you would put on there something like Jace or something like that, the Jace Foundation, the Jace Foundation, for puppies or something like that, and so it's like so whenever you do hashtags and for pups, and I know I can't fit it all on one line right here, but still. But what's a good example of a hashtag? A hashtag is basically another way of stating to where that it's a basically it's a maybe I'm like a hashtag. A hashtag is another way of how you want to call it. It's kind of like a bookmark, not really, but it's basically it's information. It's like a citation information to where you can give to your readers, anybody who wants more information about information on that site, and also about to where it's like something that you want to include on a website. Like let's just say if you have anybody who wants to go to that website and just be able to look up information about about how to shop or something like how to shop for anything in the inventory or something like that. But like everybody else might say is to where if you want to include maybe the Jace Foundation, or maybe support for pups or something like that, and I can include like right here on the bottom, hashtag would be something, saying something like hashtag. The hashtag will be is toward a support for pups, and for no spaces, and trying to think, hashtag. So support for pups, and support for pups, and so it's like so every time you do think about hashtag a lot of times, and everybody else might say that for pups, and if it's spelt I think it's spelled with one P, but but anyway, .org or something like that, .org. So every time you think about that in 102, that so it's like I can just trying to, so that way we can all see this right here. But hashtags. So if this right here was supposed to be for sure, if you're going to be maybe seeing that, maybe for the digital ads or something like that for the Jace Foundation or something like that. Well, we may have seen that before, to where that you see, for Jaycee Dugard, you may have seen something like that for hashtag, and then for support for pups or something like that, for it's okay, and So yeah, so you have here for hashtags, right? For .org, for the Jace Foundation, and so yeah, so it's like everybody else might say that if you're trying to put like any source of a clipboard, artboard or something like that, if you're trying to show somebody a few examples of maybe a few hashtags or something, but still, you don't really need to be writing all that, all on the photograph right there, and that's really going to kind of get in the way. But still, I'm just showing everybody here that if this right here was supposed to be like any sort of article, like an ad or something, but still, it's like, yeah, you put a painting right there, and then you write in a few notes right there. But still, it's like, yeah, it's okay if you don't know, and if you're not sure for the Jace Foundation, and so yeah, another way of how you want to call it, like for hashtags, would be like maybe a little bit like a command to where if you're going to be working on something, let's just say if you set that to where it'll be like a hyperlink to where it will take you directly to the website, and so that is why it seems like that everybody else might say that yeah, that whenever you were working on something for sure, that this right here, yeah, if you actually typed in, if you typed in that like a kind of a little bit of the HTML, the HTML and also the JavaScript studies, to where if you typed it in correctly onto that into the hashtag for sure, if you typed that in directly into it, and if it was set correctly for sure, then it would take you directly to that hashtag, to that tab, to that website, right? And so that's why it seems like with a lot of this digital technology stuff, things that you can do, right? But it's like, yeah, so in case of anybody were to ask as to where, okay, well, I don't know how to do that, or how does that work? So it's like, so every time you think about that in 102, that, yeah, well, it's okay. It's okay if you're not sure, and if it's okay if you don't know, and, so yeah, so it's like every time you do think about that in your 102, that so if you were to move that stuff down there on the bottom right there, so that way we can see this right here. So this right here is the photograph right here, this painting right here of for Jaycee Dugard and the Puppy Love and all, and then this right here on the bottom right here will be like this message right here, and so really that so anything that you're talking about for sure that it's like every time you do think about that in 102, that yeah, you look at that photograph right there, but then also that you're thinking this too is toward it. Yeah, anything. So if I would actually move this down here on the bottom right here, but like let's just say this right here was supposed to be like maybe for like a I don't know, an advertisement, or maybe if it's the front cover, maybe for the book, for Freedom the First, right? And you're thinking this toward, okay, yeah, that you have right here is the front cover right here, but then a few rest of it. It's like, yeah, so anybody who sees this right here, and they're going to say is toward, okay, all what we see right here, and maybe a few things that we didn't quite understand during our time. So a lot of things people might say that, yeah, well, your pets, our pets can maybe tell us, okay, yeah, just click on this tab right here, and it will direct you. I'm like, yeah, there's a link that's sent to your phone or something like that, where it will take you to directly to that page, and so it's like, yeah, it's okay if you don't know, and it's okay if you're not sure. But anyway, but you got right there is basic information about that. But anyway, but I just thought go and talk about that. But then also with this painting right here. But then it's like you want to know too that when we do talk about for the painting right here. And like everybody else would say, is to where you go ahead and paint in right here. I go ahead and paint right here. You got right here's the puppy paws right here, and so I can just click on a layer, so I can go ahead and paint that in right there. Yeah, at this right here, that was right there supposed to be puppy paws right there. Yeah, so that right there is a painting that you were working on, right? And 102 that how do we know, yeah, our viewers are not going to really have any idea, okay, what is this, or I don't know how that works, or I don't know how this works, and, but still, it's like, so yeah, altogether, if this right here was supposed to be like maybe an invitation to where you can actually yeah, for the Jace Foundation or something like that, or maybe like a, but still. But like everybody else might say that you go ahead and work on like a little picture right here, and let's just say if it is supposed to be like maybe like a bookmark to where the okay, this right here is supposed to help guide you toward it, which you can do next. So far as please follow yeah my blog page or for the Jace Foundation and it's okay and so that right there and so I thought you go ahead and paint a little bit of that in right there, but it's like yeah. So it's like everybody else might say that really that you go ahead and put a picture in there. yeah. You go ahead and paint that picture right there, and at 102 that yeah you're trying to paint the paws in there, and 102 that paint the paws, and then yeah the puppy love. I'll go ahead and try to paint right there is the paws and so as I say that yeah so that right there was supposed to be a puppy right there, you're putting its paws right there in front of the camera right there, and 102 that yeah that what you see right there is an actual photograph right there of a puppy, but then also it's like you're 102 that okay well, I don't know how to do that. Okay, what do I click on from here? And so it's like every time you do think about that, and you're thinking as toward it, you want my dog or my parrot, or if you want, I can have a butterfly show you what you gotta click on. And so it's like yeah, a lot of technology, ever since back in 1988 to maybe 89 to maybe early 1990 in year 102 that a lot of stuff and it's like yeah you go ahead and if you were to send somebody a greeting card for sure in 102 that yeah you see that you see that picture right there, that picture portrait right there of me with a puppy, right? But then that puppy right there, and you see this message right here, but then that message right there, indicator right there, is going to say is to where these are the directions right here for what your directions to follow, just to be able to go to the page right here, and so it's like yeah, everybody else might say, oh okay, well duh, I didn't know that, and so every time you do, yeah, every time you think about that, and you're thinking as toward it, you know, that if you're trying to work on something, let's just say that maybe if it's just for fun or something like that, but let's just say if you're painting something and you're trying to show somebody how to do something for sure, and it's like, if you're not sure, what to do for sure, you're just gonna go ahead and just paint a picture or take a photograph and actually show somebody how something works for sure. Say that, yeah, but still, you don't really have to put the date on there, but like let's just say if you're just trying to tell everybody, okay, put a hashtag right there. Yeah, this is the website right here that you go to. But it's like, yeah, well, it's okay, just ask or something. But a lot of times it's like, yeah, when we do speak about puppy love a lot of times, and 102 that yeah, you go ahead and paint a picture of the puppy right there, and then you go ahead and yeah, ask a question or something like that, and talk about something. But anyway, but I thought I'd go ahead and you talk about that right there, and then you want to know too that yeah, whenever it comes to for what you do know, and then the things that you're not sure of, and then so it's like yeah, so every time you do think about that, and you're one or two that that yeah, whenever you do read the book, talk about Jaycee Dugard and your Freedom the First, and you're thinking as to where that yeah that if you were to actually paint a puppy on there or something like that, or maybe a goldfish or something, and you want to know too that yeah, it's okay, just ask if you don't understand something, just ask or something, but yeah, what would our parents really do? Well, what do our parents usually say to us about that? To where whenever it comes to the requirements, especially whenever it comes to system requirements and everything, that your 102 is to where that talk about for puppy love, especially is to where that yeah, whenever it comes to system requirements, yeah, it needs to fulfill the requirements a lot of times, But yeah, you really just never know what you can learn about this new skill, right? And a lot of times it seems like that a lot of the things for what they teach you nowadays, a lot of the schools and what they teach you nowadays, the custom made websites and all that, and you're one of too, is toward the things that they teach you though, and you're always thinking is toward it, yeah, that if education was all what you wanted, then maybe that you would not really have discipline, right? And so that's why it sure seems that way. That every time you do think about that, and you're always thinking as to where if there's not going to be requirements for sure, there's going to be discipline, but still. But on the other hand, that you're probably thinking as to where that yeah, if it was all what you wanted for sure, then maybe that there would be no discipline, right? Or maybe that there would be discipline, but still. So it's like, yeah. So what's a good advice that we can give to our children about that whenever it comes to requirements, about educational requirements and all that, and even to like yeah, whenever it comes to our pets a lot of times, and you're thinking as to where that yeah, you just really yeah, well this stuff this same stuff right here, especially your knowledge, that you just may never know what you may find about it, until later on. But really, it's supposed to be about the future, right? The future, yeah, the future is what you make of it, and also it's about the future, right? So every time you do think about that, and like, yeah, not everybody's really going to understand what all that you were talking about, maybe during that presentation for sure. But let's just say that, yeah, 2 years from now for sure. But like everybody else might say, is to where I talk about, yeah, for that special gift, right? But anyway, talk about here for Jaycee Dugard, Puppy Love right there. Thanks for watching, everyone, and have a great day.